Welsh Varsity, the pinnacle of student culture. Fierce rivalries, a day of drinking and celebration. Student life in Wales wouldn't be the same without it. Rubbing shoulder to shoulder with the sporting giants like rugby and football is ultimate Frisbee, a sport struggling for the awareness it deserves. In the lead up to Varsity, we spoke to Swansea Student Union sports officer Sophie Hargreaves about the influence of Varsity on student life.
For me, it's the pinnacle event to represent your sport in, so it means so much to me, and I know it means so much to my team as well. Everyone sort of knows about Varsity. There's such a buzz about it already, like even when you're not in uni, people are like, oh, Welsh Varsity, Welsh Varsity. It's such a big brand, and because it's got such momentum behind it, everyone just knows about it and wants to be involved.
Swansea's ultimate Frisbee team have been putting in the hard yards in a bid to defeat Cardiff for the first time in Varsity history. Despite featuring in Welsh Varsity every year, ultimate Frisbee remains a relatively unknown sport. Have you ever heard of ultimate Frisbee?
No.
Yeah, my flatmate plays ultimate Frisbee.
When I think about Frisbees, I think of like dogs like chasing a piece of plastic on the beach, but it's actually quite intense.
We spoke to Andy Eck, one of the longest serving players of the Swansea Ultimate team, to hear about his experiences.
I like to define it as a cross between netball and American football. So you can't move while you have the disc. You have about 10 seconds to throw it. You are trying to catch it past a goal line for 1 point. And if the disc hits the ground, it's a turnover. You play with 7 aside, and everyone can do any job on the pitch, essentially. Sure, the ultimate community is definitely, I think, what keeps people staying. You know, we're not the most well-known sport of all time, so we tend to get people in their second and third year who just sort of wanted to try something a little more active after not doing much in their first year, maybe drinking a little too much, gaining some weight. But then they come to find out, you know, it's a really tight-knit, you know, close community. I know we're about to go to Varsity with Cardiff, and we're sort of like, you know, playing up the rivalry, but we're actually really close with those guys, and we like them a lot. You know, you go to these tournaments and you play, you have what's called a spirit circle at the end, where you line up in a circle every other, so your team, their team, your team, their team, and you talk about the good things in the match, you know, what the other team did well, and then the other team takes a turn and goes.
Swansea faced Bath in their last Bucks game leading up to Varsity. A win here would bolster the team's confidence ahead of the big game.
So we just played Bath in our last Bucks game outdoors. Unfortunately it was a defeat, but there's a lot to learn for offence and defence ready for Varsity.
The men's team has never beaten Cardiff at Varsity for Ultimate Frisbee, but we have played them in league matches and at fun tournaments, and we have beaten them every time. We're 3-0 this season, so we feel quietly confident that we can do it.
With Varsity just around the corner, Swansea University's Ultimate Frisbee team are hoping to make their mark on the biggest student event of the year. To finally beat Cardiff. To finally have their voices heard.
1, 2, 3, Swansea!